The first is, of course, as of June 30, all of my first data would be as of the last Columbian year. That was the first year of my term. As you can see in the gross membership growth, we did not matter much. As you can see, we are only ranked number 14. Mindanao, number 12. Visayas, number 18. You know, when we reached that 102%, when we reached 100%, it was already on the third week of June. It was really so close that I was afraid that we could not make it. But luckily, on the third week, we reached the quota of 9,000 and surpassed it by about 218 more. So we landed 14th. For the next slide, there's a good jump from number 14 to number 2 on membership growth net of suspension. That is for the category of the membership director. We landed second. But there's difficulty in catching up with Utah, who is ahead by about 9%. 9% would mean about 540 members more. And that's a feat for the last month of 2012. For the next slide, it would show the quota of the state deputy, and we are third in rank with 167, but obviously, we could not even come close to number 2 and more so to number 1, West Virginia, because of the great increase as far as percentage is concerned. But mind you, if you would look at the figures, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, their quota and achievements are by the thousands. The rest, not even one is more than 500. So to make the competition fairer for all, the Supreme thought of the idea of using the percentage increase. So we got clobbered. Together with my friend here from California, he also got clobbered because he also needs to produce 5,000. But mind you, the bottom line is always the figure, not the percentage. So I'm proud to tell you that the combined efforts of the 3 jurisdictions produce about 15,000, 14,000 net of suspensions, deaths, and withdrawals last Columbian year. You know what that 9,000 means to the order? Our total growth for the order was only 25,000 for last Columbian year, and yet we had 14,000 in the Philippines. Labang palakpakan. That is more than 50% of the total net output of the entire order. Next. In terms of membership, the 10 or 11 largest jurisdictions are shown, with Luzon as number 1. We are number 1, the largest jurisdiction order-wide in terms of membership, but I could not claim the same in terms of funds. As you can very well see, number 2, Texas, we have more than 48,000 members against them. And you will see later on in 2013 data later on, it would still increase further. Other accomplishments for the last Columbian year, 2011-2012, we organized or established 28 new councils, surpassing our quota of 25. We were able to produce 70-star, double-star councils. Number 1 po tayo. Number 2 was about 55. I'm not sure if it was California or Texas. For the third accomplishment, we had produced 115 star districts. Number 1 din po. Unfortunately, for the star districts, there was no mention of any number 2, number 3, or anything. Just Luzon, 115, And that is a very high quotient against our entire districts of only 230. So 50% po was able to garner the star district recognition. 50%. For the Columbian Squires, we had surpassed our quota, not only in new circles, but in new members as well. The Luzon jurisdiction is among the Circle of Honor awardees, and these are the criterion by which we had achieved such honors. As far as the jurisdiction is concerned, we are ranked number 14, and only 19 was included out of 72 jurisdictions. 16 state membership directors were recognized, and we are ranked number 2. 13 state deputies were recognized, and we are ranked 3rd. Of course, pag nanalo ka ng among the Circle of Honor, you were rewarded. We were rewarded with an all expenses paid to trip to Grand Cayman Island for the state deputy and state membership director with our respective wives. Unfortunately, we were not able to avail of it because we failed to get the visa for the Cayman Island. It would seem that not even 9 months is enough to get an appointment to get a visa for the Cayman Island. So probably this year also, although I'm expecting to win again another trip to the St. Kitts Island, I would again not be able to get a visa even if I apply now. The other award which I got is the Circle of Honor ring for the state deputy, which I'm wearing right now. It's not so small, very large. I really chose a larger size than for my hands because of the gold content. And they would have extreme difficulty of creating a smaller ring for my small hands. Other recognitions that we got for last Columbian year was a Century Club Award for Father Ballesteros Council 5234. Meron ba ditong delegates? 5234? Yeah, so congratulations. They had 104 recruitment for 1 Columbian year net of suspensions. The only recipient of the Century Award for Columbian year 2011-2012. Normally, order-wide, there should be around 10 to even as much as 20 Century Club awardees. But for last year, there is only one, and it came from our jurisdiction. And we also had an International Service Program Award winner for community, first and second responders from the Our Lady of the Pillar Council 14569, Morong, Bataan. Any delegation from said council? Thank you and congratulations, Brad. Of course, we have to recognize the 10 most outstanding district deputies for that Columbian year. As you can see, please take note of who these 10 people are. These are the best district deputies acknowledged for last Columbian year. They had to pass through a rigid qualification to qualify for the top 10. Remember, as I have said earlier, there were 115 who qualified for the star districts. So the original contenders for the top 10 are 115. It was so difficult to reduce them to 10. And so, surprisingly, out of these 10, except for Joseph Ortiz and the most outstanding Didi Francisco Atienza, all the 8 are first-time district deputies. And of course, also for last year, we had awarded the Sword of Excellence to the retiring district deputies at the time, and there were 22. These 22 district deputies were able to serve the order for a full term of 4, and some of them even 5 years. You cannot serve as district deputy for 4 years if you are not doing something good for your district. Mind you, just to compare it, I only served my district for 2 years. And these guys served theirs for 4 or even 5 years. If you know them, please congratulate them and say thank you for serving the order well. Of course, it goes without saying, if there are achievements, there are also failures. And we need to recognize these failures as we need to correct them in the coming years. First, 15 districts are zero DDs. Napakalinis po. Their slate is so clean, they were not able to produce a single member. They were not able to submit a single report. It's as if they do not exist. 15 districts. Will not identify them anymore. 378 councils did not submit their officers chosen. 454 councils did not submit their service program personnel. 770 councils, my God, out of 1,175 did not submit their semi-annual audit report. 343 councils did not submit Form 1728. I must reiterate that this must be submitted even if it's late. You know why, Brother Knights? This is very much needed by our Supreme Council. This Form 1728, this is the very form that would save our order from or maintain our status as a tax-free corporation. If we will not submit this Form 1728, the Supreme Council might lose its tax-free status. You know how much that translated? If I know how to read between the lines of the report of our Supreme Knight Carl A. Anderson, translated, if we fail to submit 1728, that would cost the Supreme Council $60 million a year. And yun lang po, that is what is being asked of us, Form 1728. They're pressing the Philippines to submit Form 1728 because we have more than 2,000 councils. So it would be really a big help for the Supreme Council if they could maintain their tax-free status with the help of councils from the Philippines. So even if it's late, please submit them. All report forms, even if they are already past due, please submit them just to know that your council still exists. Kasi if you do not submit anything, we wouldn't know. The Supreme Council wouldn't know if you're still operating or not. No form SP7. Ito po this is the Columbian Award application. 978 councils out of 1,155, I think. I made a mistake. Yeah, I made a mistake. It is 1,155 at the beginning of the Columbian year and ended with 1,080, I think. 174 lang ang nag-submit. No wonder our Star Council Award is only 70 because only 170 plus submitted this Columbian Award application. Without submitting the Columbian Award application, you cannot be considered for the Star Council Award. That is just as plain as that. Now, for the current status of the Luzon jurisdiction for the Columbian year 2012-2013, as of April 22, or even earlier dates, as we will present them to you, we are now third as far as this gross membership is concerned. Earlier, Brother Alon said we were number one for a brief moment, for 2 days or even 4 days. Exactly, I remember them. February 14, February 15, we were triple number one. And last March 28 and March 29, we were also triple number one. But as you can see, District of Columbia blasted us out of first place because of the 10%. Translated, that means a difference of 910 members. We need to produce 910 members, and DC should not produce anything at all in order just to catch up with them. But as I have said earlier, the bottom line is the numbers and not the percentage. For the net of suspension, next slide, we are still in number 2 and only a point shy behind the District of Columbia. So probably percentage-wise, they are suspending more members than we do. On the third slide, again, we are still maintaining the third position as in last year, but I don't think we could ever catch up with District of Columbia, who is ahead of us by 18%. Roughly, that is about 1,000 members on our part, just to be able to catch up with them. In terms of membership, again, we're still number 1, and our increase on Texas has increased from 48,000 to 52,000. Within 20 or even 30 years, I do not see any jurisdiction would be able to catch up with us. So we would remain as number 1 in terms of membership for the next 20 or even 30 years. Our accomplishments, new council development, as you can see, that is the ranking, the top 4. Number 1 is Oregon. He has only a quota of 1, has produced 3, so that's 300%. And of course, we are number 2. We had produced 32, and that's only 160%. But number still is the bottom line, and that's okay. Oregon is number 1 because there are a lot of smaller jurisdictions in the United States and in Canada. Columbian Squires, we have met the quota for the new circle development, far ahead of Visayas and Mindanao, because that is only as of April 1, we had already met our quota. In terms of membership, the beginning balance of the Columbian Squires for the 3 jurisdictions is as shown, and we have an increase of almost 25%. How I wish that the jurisdiction could attain 25%. Translated, that would mean about 37,500 members already, if the jurisdiction could produce 25% by April 1. So we did not. We only had about close to 8,000. For this year, we started to make an assessment of the star and double star councils. Potentially, we have 313 councils, 209 of which have already surpassed their membership quota. 114 councils are expected to meet their quota by June 30, but among the 313, only about 55, I think, have completed the reports. 70, it's not 55, it's already 70, but 313 po yung ating potentials. It's such a ways that the others would not be able to get the Star Council simply because they had failed to file their reports. For the Star Districts, we have 84 districts. As of March 1 lang po yan, who had already surpassed their quota, and 43 more are expected to meet their quota, for a total of 127 out of the 241 districts that we have, or roughly about a slight change from 50% to about 57%. Okay? Expected failures, siyempre may failures. By June 30, as of now, our reactivation is only 7 out of 46, so it's impossible to reactivate the 46 that is required of us. The Paris Roundtables, we only need 240 and only 27. We had produced only 27. You know how simple this Paris Roundtable is? Really, we could produce 1,170 Paris Roundtables because each council should have a Paris Roundtable of their own. But we only set a quota of 240 for the 240 districts that we have, and yet it is a dismal failure. Our major concerns, again, on the report forms, these are the compliance rate as stated. 185 is only 69%, 365 is only 62%, semi-annual is only at less than 30%, 1728, again, 1728, we would fail again in this part, less than 62%. Our councils who had recruited at least one is 653, and 522 did not recruit a single member so far. Other concerns, 24 districts have yet to recruit a new member. So there is an increase. Last year, we had 15 zero district deputies. This year, it looks like we will have 24. How can you help maintain our numbers? Start recruiting, preferably a relative or a friend. Just add one more recruit over your recruits last year, and definitely we would be able to meet our quota. If you were able to recruit 10, recruit 11 this year. If you were not able to recruit anything at all last year, just recruit one. Encourage or require your members to recruit at least one every time they are advanced into a higher degree. It is incumbent upon us, all brother knights here, that every time we are advanced into the second, third, or fourth, we should have recruited at least one. So much so that in our lifetime, we should have recruited at least 3. If only all of us would do that, and even if we are able to advance only 10,000, if we are only advanced into the higher degree one time every year, ang translation po nito, we could produce easily about 27,000 new members a year. Yan, sabi ko na yan. Next. 1 is always better than a 0. Di po ba? As I have said, all those councils, all those districts not able to produce at least one lang po would be a great help. 500 councils would mean 500 members. 24 districts would mean at least 24. You know what's embarrassing about these 24 districts? It means that they are district deputies and yet their council is unable to produce at least one. Di po ba? So what does this mean? What are you telling us? Would you like us to replace you? District deputies, your council should be behind you. You should be able to encourage them to produce at least one member. I do not see any reason why a district would have so clean a slate. Highlights of Columbian year 2011-2012. We staged the PIP Walk for Life, which started in 2008, and so far, last year's walk was the biggest ever as far as participation is concerned. We hosted the highly successful 9th National Convention of Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, which was graced by no less than our Supreme Knight Carl A. Anderson and Lady Dorian. It was celebrated with a mass, concelebrated with a mass by 6 bishops and about 80 members of the clergy, and that's the first time I think that it had happened in the Philippines, and even wearing the K of C chasubles. And of course, high-tech, as far as the high-tech side, we were the first to use a video wall as our backdrop. So very dramatic po yung ating convention last year. I just hope you were there to really appreciate the effort of the team to put up such a convention. It is a far cry from what we are doing here right now. The highlights for this year, for this Columbian year, we had also staged the 6th Walk for Life, and the first ever walk after the passage of the RH bill into law. We were very much of concern regarding attendance for this walk because the RH bill had been passed into law. There were even some negative comments about it, but just the same, we staged it, and there was a good participation from our members. So this early, I would like to announce that the next March walk, would be on March 22, 2014, and this would be for the entire jurisdiction, simultaneously in different parts of the jurisdiction. Please prepare for this walk. Even if the law has been passed, still we need to stage this walk to show our support or concern for life. As I'm a very vocal advocate of the anti-RH, and you will later find out how vocal I am. We also bought the first ultrasound machine for the ultrasound initiative of the jurisdiction, the launching of which is scheduled this coming May 5, somewhere in Manila. We also granted a soft loan for a Payao project in Davila, Ilocos Norte. They are represented here for a livelihood program that would benefit the parish, the council, and the community. It is a fishing method, a very simple, crude fishing method, yung Payao po. It is only by tackle that they are able to catch some fish. And we have, of course, cooperated with California jurisdiction and the American Wheelchair Mission, represented here by its president, Brother Chris Levis, for distribution of free wheelchairs. Later on, we will distribute the initial wheelchairs to recipients. What else should you do as a knight? Undergo a continuing spiritual formation program. Many of our chaplains are concerned with our spirituality, and I've been hearing this whenever I go to the provinces, that some of our councils are not spiritually enriched, or sometimes are hardly spiritual at all. Take care of your priests. Please take care of your priests. They are your friend. They are your ally. They are your advisor. They are not your enemies. Do not pick a quarrel with them. Because if you do, I will not hesitate to suspend you. And I have already done so with a brother knight and 2 more pending completion of investigation against them. Love and secure the future of your family. What better gift can we leave behind to our family than a secure future for their financial needs? We have Casey Papi here. It is properly managed. I do not feel that your investment would be in danger. Defend the weak and the helpless. Of course, that is a given to organizations like ours. Be a volunteer anytime, every time. That is a call of our Supreme Knight, Carl A. Anderson. You know, if you are a knight, you should be called, or you should consider yourself a volunteer. Because if you are not a volunteer, I don't think you have the right to call yourself a knight. Respect life in all its stages, from conception to its final moments. Now I will have my personal appeal. I hope you will grant my appeal even before I announce what it is. I would like you to put your trust in me and to give me your positive response on this personal appeal. Can we do that, Brother Knights? Yes. Parang pilit. Can I request a personal appeal to all of you, Brother Knights? Yes. Ito po yung appeal ko. Please do not vote the 7 members of Team Patay. Pwede po ba, Brother Knights? Yes. I will shout Team Patay 3 times and you will shout back, "Wag iboto." Pwede po ba? Yes. Team Patay! Wag iboto! Team Patay! Wag iboto! Team Patay! Wag iboto! As I have told you earlier, I am vocal against the RH bill, so I will not be afraid to name names. I will name the 7 members of Team Patay, and I will read each one of them. As I read each name, please shout again, "Wag iboto." Pwede po ba? Yes. Okay. Here are the 7 senatorial candidates. I'm asking you to please refrain from voting these candidates as senators. Anyway, you will still have 26 more candidates to choose from, and you will only need to choose 12. So bawasin na po natin itong 12. Let us deduct these 12 from the list of potential senators. So as I announce their name, you will shout back, "Wag iboto." Pwede po? Yes. Lauren Legarda. Wag iboto. Alan Peter Cayetano. Wag iboto. Francis Escudero. Wag iboto. Teddy Casino. Wag iboto. Juan Edgardo Angara. Wag iboto. Jack Enrile. Risa Ontiveros. Baka naman sa salita lang yan, mga bro, ha? You might just be saying it just to please me. But please be serious in considering the appeal that I have made from you, and I hope you can enjoy your brother nights in your respective communities as well as your members of your family, not to vote for these 7 notorious anti-life senators. Okay po? Maraming salamat po. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat.